Welcome back, GED scholars and math warriors, to Algebra 104, Part 5, The Phantom of the Line Graph. And in this short video, folks, I want to introduce you to the coordinate plane, and we're going to look at an image in a moment. But also, we're going to talk about how having a plane, or I should say having a line on a plane, can help you out with linear equations. And we're going to take a peek at that as well. And this video is necessary for you to watch as a prerequisite for the next video, which will cover the slope of a line. And so, of course, we're going to learn how to do this by hand, but we're also going to make sure we learn how we can figure out these types of problems with our calculator as well. Make sure to visit GEDtalk.com/resources as well to check out and download the free worksheets we offer. Those worksheets come with their answers as well. So let's go ahead and get started, folks. So this is a coordinate grid. And it is a way for you to locate points on a line that are basically on this flat surface. And so when you are able to draw that line, you are going to be able to name 2 points, which are also considered an ordered pair. When we look at our coordinate plane, notice that there is this x-axis and we have it going horizontal, and then the y-axis is going to go vertical. And they go into both the positive and negative planes. So the numbers that you see on the y-axis and the x-axis as well are going to be either positive or they're negative. So when we look at our coordinate plane, notice that all of these numbers up here going up towards the y that I've drawn, and the numbers over here that are going to the right are going to be positive. So if you have a point on this line, and we'll say this point right here that I'm drawing, well, I can say is a point in the positive area or the positive quadrant of this coordinate plane. And the way I know it's positive is because in order to get to this point, I need to go over first on the x-axis, which is this horizontal one. And so I'm counting the lines, not the open space, but the lines. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went over 4. So I know that's going to be my first part of the ordered pair. And then how many did I go up? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the y-axis, I went up 6 lines. So this 4, 6, which is represented by what's on the x-axis and what's represented on the y-axis, this is called an ordered pair. And this ordered pair will always be in this setup where it's the x first and then the y. So if we were given the ordered pair -1, -5, I know that my point is going to be somewhere over here where we have the negative numbers. So because my ordered pair is -1, -5, I know on the x-axis, I'm going to move to the left of the origin. And that's the origin right there, is where those 2 lines, the x-axis and the y-axis, are meeting. And because my y-axis is -5, I know I would be moving down the y-axis. So -1, -5 would actually be right here, and I'm going to have to drop it right where the -5 is, because that is the point of -1, -5. And so since we're given 2 ordered pairs, the -1, -5, and then the 4 and the 6, we have 2 points on our line, and we can connect these 2 points to draw that line. So let's go ahead and do that. So these 2 points that we have, the 4, 6 and the -1, -5, can actually help us figure out the equation of the line as well. But we're not going to do that just quite yet. This is more of an introduction to the coordinate plane, where the x-axis lies, where the y-axis lies, and how each of the lines represents a number. And we also just reviewed the difference between the positive coordinates and then the negative ones as well. So let's go ahead and move forward with how learning this information can help us with other problems on the math exam. So on the GED exam, you might see a coordinate grid. As you can see on the screen, you can see your x-axis, your y-axis. You know that the lines are numbered, positive versus negative, and where those different coordinates are. So when we see this line going through this coordinate plane, we notice that there are two dots, and I have those dots as green dots. And to the right, we have the question, which of the ordered pairs also lies on the line? Because folks, once we have a line, pretty much any point that you can see is going to be an ordered pair. This is a multiple choice question, and they're only giving us 4 answer choices, A, B, C, and D. And so we need to figure out which one of these falls on the line. But before I figured that out, I want to, just to make sure I know and I'm explaining this to you well, and that you also know how to figure out the ordered pairs that you might see as dots on the exam. So this first one up here, this top one that I see right over here, I know because it is to the left of the y-axis, I had to move there on the x-axis towards my negative numbers. So this dot is right on the -3 line of the x-axis. So this ordered pair is -3, comma, and then how many lines did I need to go up on the y-axis? Well, it's right on the 3 line, so I would put 3. So this first dot, the green one, at the point -3, 3. Well, the second one down here, this green dot, on the x-axis, I didn't go anywhere. So I know for my x, it is going to be a 0. And then for the y, I noticed that it's on the -3 line. So I came down -3 spots. Well, now I'm looking for any point that I can see falls on a line and is also one of the options on my multiple choice test. I notice right here, I could have a point, right? How many did I go over? I went over -2. So this is -2. How many up? I went up 1. So I have -2, 1. But notice that's not an answer choice, so that's not going to work. Let me erase it for us. Well, another point I see that could take place is right here. It's kind of adjacent to the -1. So I came over -1 lines and I went down -1 lines as well. So this point is -1, comma, -1. And I look at my answer choices and I notice that -1, -1 is an ordered pair on the list, and it is answer D. Another time you might notice graphing a line or just lines in general on the GED exam is if they give you a problem that says graph the equation. So we might see y equals 3x minus 4. And when they give you an equation like that, you can actually find ordered pairs. Remember, it'll be the x number and the y number. Remember the ordered pairs that we just learned about. This equation will help you find 2 points on a line. And once you find 2 points, well, you can connect them and draw the actual line. Or they might actually just give you the ordered pair. And then from the ordered pair, you can figure out which one of the answer choices is the equation of the line. And that would be doing a lot of guess and check, but we can also use our calculator, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But first, if we wanted to figure out ordered pairs for this equation that they shared with us, all we need to do is we need to establish the x values. And what I mean by that is basically saying, well, x can equal 1, and that'll give me an ordered pair, because when x equals 1, y will equal something. And then I'm going to also try when x equals 2. So I'll just put y equals and y equals on the side, because I know that's what I'm looking for. So if I have x equals 1, well, y equals 3 times 1 minus 4, right? Because all I'm doing is substituting the 1 for the x. Well, when I have 3 times 1, I have 3 minus 4 will give me -1. So when x equals 1, y will equal -1. Okay, well, let's try this again, but now let's input 2. So if I have y equals 3 times 2 minus 4, well, I know that 3 times 2 is 6 minus 4 will give me 2. So when x equals 2, y equals 2. And now that I have my ordered pairs, right, here's the first one. It's 1, -1, and the second one is 2, comma 2. I can draw those points on the grid and then connect those lines. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first one is 1, -1. 1, -1 is going to be right here, and I'm going to draw a red dot for us. The second one is 2, comma 2. So go over 2 lines, so 1, 2, and then up 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to drop that dot right there. So now we're going to connect the dots as straight as we possibly can. And so now we're able to say, well, this line that we're drawing is a line for the equation y equals 3x minus 4. And any point on this line, that's going to go on for a really long time, infinity, because we see that with the arrows at the end. It means every point on this line is going to be a solution for y equals 3x minus 4. So on the exam, you might also see a problem like this where they will show you a coordinate grid with a line going through it, and then they'll ask you the question. So the question asks, line A is the graph of which of the following equations? And then we see those line equations that we just tackled in the other problem. Well, there's a number of ways we can tackle this, folks. Like we just saw in this previous problem where we said x can equal 1, and if x equals 2, then we can find what y equals, and those are the ordered pairs. We were able to draw that line, even though it's not a very straight line, but we were able to take care of it all because we had this equation. Well, now they're basically asking you to do the opposite. And they're saying, well, if we give you two ordered pairs, can you figure out which line equation would be the one that creates this line going through these two pairs? Before we even tackle this, whether we're going to do this by hand or we're going to pull up our calculator, which folks, guess what? You can use your calculator for problems like this. We need to find the ordered pair of the two dots, of the two green dots we see on line A. So this first ordered pair at the top, I notice, is on line -1. I went over one line on my x-axis that runs horizontal, and then I went up 2 lines. So this is -1, 2. The second green dot, I notice on my x-axis, I didn't go anywhere, so that'll be a 0. And on the y-axis, I'm at a -2. So now I have two ordered pairs, and now I can insert the -1, which is my x, and the 0, which is my x in the second ordered pair. And I can say, okay, well, when x equals -1, what would y equal? As we saw from the previous equation, we could do y equals, and let's start with -1, 4 times -1 plus 1, because folks, we have to check each answer choice. So you could definitely do this by hand, right? Because we did y equals 4 times -1. This is the first one. And then the second would be y equals 4 times, what do we have here? We have 0 as my x on the other ordered pair, plus 1, and then I would have to solve for this. And then if it gives me exactly what the y should be, so this first one, y should equal 2, and this one, y should equal -2, then I would know, okay, well, A is the line. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So 4 times -1 is -4 plus 1 will give me -3. So y equals -3 when x equals -1. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to even figure out the second equation, because if this top equation is saying, okay, well, when x equals -1, y will equal -3. That's not one of my ordered pairs, right? And even if I wanted to see, does this ordered pair -1, -3 fall on the line? Let's go to the line and see if that works. So -1, so go over on your x-axis, one line negative to the left. -1, -3 would be right there. Does the line go through it? No, the line is adjacent to it. That red line is not going through that dot, that ordered pair. So we know A is not going to be the answer. So we know we can take care of this problem by hand. We just saw how all we needed to do was find these two different ordered pairs, and then we inserted wherever we saw the x as -1, and then we did it again and we inserted 0 as x. And then if the numbers matched up to what the ordered pair y would be, then we were good to go. But we just saw that this first one that we did, A, isn't the problem. So can we continue on by hand? Absolutely. If you're like, can we continue on with a calculator? Absolutely, folks. There is a separate video on how to use the calculator when dealing with y equal problems, but I'm going to show that to you right here. So let's go ahead and pull up our calculator and hit the clear key if you haven't already. And I'm actually going to move this over to the left so I can see my different equations. So I don't need to worry about A. We already figured it out by hand. But now what I want us to do is use our table key. And I noticed that I have y equals. So what I want to do now is I'm going to start inputting my other answer choices to figure out, okay, well, when y equals this equation, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to actually tell it what x is going to equal, it'll tell me what y is. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I have y equals, and I have b as my next one. Let's go ahead and move our calculator up so you can see the negative key. I'm going to do negative 4x minus 1, and I'm going to hit enter. And so you see where it has start, step, auto, ask, X. I want to hit the enter key until I get to where it says ask X. You might notice that yours has auto flashing. When you pulled up this menu, you were like, hey, it's auto is what's selected. Well, go ahead and use your arrow to get down to ask X, because I wanted to ask me if X equals what Y would equal. So hit enter, and I'm going to hit enter again and enter again. So I went ahead and I already inputted what I know that X will equal. And if you're like, how do you know X will equal -1? Because remember, folks, we found two ordered pairs, -1, 2, and then the second one was 0, -2. So I know when my X equals -1, my Y should equal 2. So I'm telling the calculator when X equals -1, I just typed in -1, and then I hit enter, and I typed in 0, and then I hit enter again just to set it in line. It showed me what Y would equal. Well, if X is -1, Y will equal 3. If X is 0, Y will equal -1. But that's the thing, folks, is that that's not my ordered pair. My ordered pair is -1, 2. My second ordered pair is 0, -2. So I know that the equation that I just inserted, which was B, is not going to be the answer. So I know I can line out B. Let's get our calculator back up. And now I'm going to hit the table key again. And now I'm going to do C. Well, what is C? So I'm going to hit delete to get rid of that. And I'm going to do 4x plus 2. Hit enter. It's already set, folks. Like the calculator is holding on to the fact that I have it as ask me what X is. So I'm just going to hit enter to get over. And now I see that table. Well, when X is -1, Y is -2. That's not what I want, right? What is that first one? It's -1, 2. I'm not going to even pay attention to anything for the 0 because this first ordered pair doesn't match up. So guess what? C is not our answer. As you can see, we're left with D. And if you're like, but I have to see it in the calculator to make sure, okay, folks, we can do that as well. Hit your table key again, delete all what you wrote in for your equation, and now write the answer because you know that's the answer. It's the only one that's left. But if you really need to do this, if you're like me and have OCD at times and you're like, I have to check it, check it. -4x minus 2, enter all the way. Now we see when X equals -1, Y equals 2. When X equals 0, Y equals -2. So guess what, folks? D is our answer. And like I said, you could do it by hand. We learned how to do it by hand, right? We learned that we could figure this out. Give us two ordered pairs and we're going to insert it into our problem. We know what X is. We should get Y that is in that ordered pair. But if you're like, I don't want to do this by hand all the time, that's perfectly fine. That's why we have our calculator, folks. And this is why it's so important to make sure you know how to properly use your calculator to help you with these types of equations. Here's another type of problem that you might see on the GED exam. And it says point C is at -3, 5. Which equation will pass through point C? Well, we know that point C is at -3, 5. So what do we have? We have an x-axis and we have y as well. And we know that all we need to do is input the -3 as an x and 5 in the y wherever we see that. And so you can absolutely, folks, go ahead and you can take care of this by hand. We would do that by saying, okay, well, the first one is 3 times x, which is -3, plus 2 times y, which is 5. And then I'm going to just go ahead and solve it, and I better get 5 as my answer. And I would pull up my calculator and take care of this. But folks, that's going to take you a little bit more extra time. And if you're like, I would rather use a tool like the calculator, guess what, folks? We can use that tool. So let's go ahead and pull up our calculator. And if you are still on that table screen, just go ahead and do second quit to get you back to this screen. And so what I know already is they're giving me the coordinates, right? Or the ordered pairs, I should say. It's -3, x will equal -3, and then y will equal 5. Okay, but my answer choices are a whole bunch of equations, and I don't want to do this by hand. I don't want to go in and do 3 times -5, basically typing out what we see right here that we wrote right here in our equation or in our calculator. So instead, I want us to store the -3, 5, the ordered pair, as an x and then as the y. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to store that. So what I want to do is on my calculator, I know the first value of my ordered pair is the x. So I'm going to type in -3 sto, which is over here in the corner, STO. And then I'm going to say for x, and above that sto key, you'll notice that there are a whole bunch of variables. And these variables, when you click on that button, it's going to just recycle through what it can, which is the x, z, or I'm sorry, the x, y, z, t, a, b, c. But I want to leave it as x. So I'm going to say -3 stored as x, and I'll hit enter. And this lets me know that the calculator now reads x as -3. Well, my y, I know from the ordered pair, will be 5. So I'm going to do the same thing, but store it for y. So 5, sto key, hit your variable key until you get to y, and then hit enter. So now the calculator has -3 stored as x and 5 stored as y. All I need to do, folks, is basically what we were going to start doing by hand. We're going to just have the calculator take care of. So I need to input letter A, multiple choice letter A, because I want to see, is this the actual answer? So on my calculator, I will type in 3x plus 2y, and I'm going to hit enter, and I get 1. But A is saying that this equation with -3 as x and 5 as y should give me 5, but it's not. It's giving me 1. So I know A is not an answer choice. Let's go ahead and pull my calculator back up. And now I'm going to test out B. And I'm going to see, okay, well, is B the answer choice? So I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm going to type in 2x plus 3y. And when I hit enter, I better get 9 based on what it's telling me that x and y could equal up here when it shared that ordered pair. So when I hit enter, I get 9, folks. So I know B is my answer. And if you're like, but I have this OCD problem, and can we at least check C to make sure it's not C? Okay, folks, we'll test out C. And all we're going to do is we're going to input this equation, and when we hit enter, it better equal 8. So let's do 4x minus 2y, enter, and I get -22. So I know that C is not the answer. And folks, we could do the same thing for D as well, but I need you to trust your calculator, and I need you to trust the process too. You see problems like this where they tell you what the x variable equals and what the y variable equals, because we have this ordered pair. I know x is -3, y is 5. All I did was store those values in my calculator and then played the game of guess and check with my multiple choice answers to see which one of these equations would pass through this ordered pair that they already shared with me. Thanks for joining us, folks, for this short video on Algebra 104, Part 5, the phantom of the line graph. Yes, it's important that we understand what a coordinate plane is. Yes, it's important to understand what these ordered pairs are and how we can figure out when we have a line going through our coordinate plane. These two different points that I was able to find can help us figure out the equation of that line. And we made sure to use our calculator as well to help us find out the answer. And if you haven't already, folks, please make sure you visit GEDtalk.com/resources to download the free worksheets with their answer choices as well. Thanks for watching, folks. You know what you're doing. Keep your head up. You've got this.